because I love the backstory. I'm a hoe for backstory. How many times am I gonna say I'm a hoe for something in this video? How many times? There's a lot of places where this don't make no sense. He ain't got nothing else to show me, so I'm not even gonna make that comparison. Hello, welcome back everybody. I'm CHIOMA aka Chi, and today I'm going to be talking about some manga recommendations on Kindle Unlimited. So if you don't know what Kindle Unlimited is an Amazon product. It's basically a monthly subscription. Kind of think of a Netflix or a Hulu, but for books. And Amazon has kind of like a limited selection, but it's actually pretty broad of books that you can get from Kindle Unlimited after you pay $9.99 a month. And they do have a pretty good selection of manga. So let me put a disclaimer. My manga taste deviates pretty strongly from my regular reading taste. Regular reading, I am a fantasy, paranormal, sci-fi girl. That's what I read. Contemporary is not it for me, but we coming over to manga. It's contemporary, it's shoujo, slice of life. A lot of times in high school or in college, I think it extends up to college. I think I've read some shoujo that extends up to college, and it's kind of just like their dealings in high school and regular life, friends, romance, all kinds of things. So I'm gonna give some recommendations of my Kindle Unlimited recommended manga. So this first manga is not new to anyone who has watched probably any one of my videos. It's not new to me, but the first volume is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to taste of what CHIOMA's been talking about on every manga video she's ever made, Devil's Line Volume 1 is on Kindle Unlimited. Devil's Line is such a good manga series, and it's a very light manga series. I say lightly. It's light, like the volumes are really quick to get into, which is like kind of annoying because they're $9.99, but that's why it's great that the first volume is on Kindle Unlimited, so you can try it out, test it out, see if you like it, see if it's something you want to invest in, or see if you want to wait for the rest of the volumes to get onto Kindle Unlimited. So the first volume of Devil's Line is on Kindle Unlimited, and Devil's Line is around this society in modern day Tokyo. There exists this vampire entity that is well known as devils, and devils live and can coincide with humans until they see or smell blood. Once they see or smell blood, they transform. So on the surface, they look very humanoid. They look to be particularly just regular humans, but when they see or smell blood, come into contact with blood, they transform. So their eyes become devilish, they grow fangs, they grow claws, and they can eat or drink the blood of humans. So for the most part, the devils and the humans live in harmony or coincide okay. You know, there's a bit of prejudice from the humans onto the devils. It's really not really that seen or that outward until a devil transformed and the humans are really scared. So it follows particularly a half human, half devil character who's part of a police force that is tasked with making sure that the devils don't transform and also making sure that devils don't kill humans. Then there's this girl who is who kind of finds herself thrust into the world of this devil task force, as well as this kind of subculture, this other group, this other kind of entity that wants to eradicate devils completely. So it kind of follows their story and these two kind of conflicting perspectives on whether devils should be able to live and co-sign with humans or whether they should have a separate entity or kind of be eradicated. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. I think everyone should give it a try. It is a great fantasy, great paranormal. I really love the main characters. There is just so many main characters, and like the series kind of goes through from the perspective of the half devil, half human, and the girl to all of the characters that you're introduced to. I absolutely love Devil's Line. I think you should give it a try. If you have Kindle Unlimited and you want to get into manga, try Devil's Line Volume 1 and see how you like it. All right, the second series I want to talk about is LDK, Love LDK, L Love DK, L Heart DK. Many names that I have interpreted the series to be, but it is a shoujo manga again, and I know if you watched one of my recent reads, I ripped this series apart. I ripped the first 2 volumes apart. I was like, I don't like it, I don't want it again, should never start it, should never looked at it, it is not my portion. A month later and I've read 15 volumes, so I don't know myself, I obviously can't trust myself, but it grew on me. Listen, you have to suspend. You have to suspend a little bit of kind of like believability, and like you have to kind of like let the plot hole and let them do their things, because there's a lot of places where this don't make no sense. Follows a boy and girl who both happen to be living in the same apartment complex, where they both happen to live alone by themselves without any family or siblings or any type of caretaker, and they're in high school. So you gotta look past the logic. There is no logic. It's a manga. It's entertainment purposes only. So that is their living arrangement. And through a series of kind of unfortunate events, the boy ends up moving in with the girl because she does something to either cause a fire in his house or to cause a flood. I don't remember, but I think it's a fire. So he can't live there anymore. So he ends up moving in with her. Again, in what world, in what circumstances, how Houseway, tell me. I don't know. So he's a heartthrob of the school. He doesn't have any girls, not interested in girls. It's that trope. So he ends up moving in with her. They really want to keep their kind of like the fact that they're living together a secret, because I think the girl's best friend is in love with him, and then the girl who is living with him, she starts to have feelings for him, but then like her dad, she's not allowed to have any boys, like any interaction with any boys at all, or she can no longer live by herself. And that's really just it. That's really it. So the plot is this boy and the girl find themselves living together in this apartment and going to the same high school, and kind of how they navigate that, and how they navigate a kind of budding romance, but then again, all of the things going on in the background in both of their lives that kind of make it more difficult for them to be together, and also make it more difficult for them to even like each other. So that's what Love LDK is about. Listen, it grew on me. It grew on me. If the first 2 volumes are just like, I don't get it, like what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on here? Who is this for? I understand. I see you. I feel that, but keep going. Like, it's on Kindle Unlimited. You don't have to pay for it. So just keep going. Just keep going. You know, it'll grow on you. It might not. But I Love LDK is another good one that I binged on Kindle Unlimited, because I think like all 15 volumes are on Kindle Unlimited, which is amazing when you can read the whole series on Kindle Unlimited. So the third book I'm going to talk about is My Little Monster. And My Little Monster, again, is shoujo. We love shoujo over here, and it is around a girl who is kind of top of her class. So the girl, her mother is kind of a workaholic. She doesn't live with her mother. She only lives with her dad. So she's from a single parent household, but her mom is kind of like a businesswoman. She's a real salary woman. She's like out working. She's really successful. And this is really the girl's inspiration. So she really has both parents, and they kind of juxtapose each other, because her father is kind of a slacker. He doesn't really work too hard. He's not as successful as her mom, but he does take care of her and he does try his best. But her mom kind of has everything put together. She is kind of a businesswoman. She's doing well. She makes money, but she's just not in the picture. So it's kind of like an interesting dichotomy about how she kind of idolizes one parent who is absent, but the other parent who is there but who is not as successful by her terms, she kind of looks a bit down on him, but then also tries to recognize that he is being a good parent. That is just the parental dynamic, which I actually really likes about this book. But it really surrounds a girl who is top of her class. She wants to be like her mom, so she's like, A's, 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 I am number 1. Friends, what are those? Boys, who are they? I don't know. She's really only here for the school, which, you know, is a choice. It's a choice, and I can respect it. She really wants to be top of her class, go to the best school, get the best job, and just be like her mom. So that's that. And then there is this boy who is known to be scary. He's known to be kind of a slacker. He does not do school at all. He's always getting expelled. He's always getting suspended. He just does not do school the way that you should. And because of that, he gets suspended for fighting. And the girl who's top of her class is tasked with giving him his homework. So there's a teacher who does see a lot in the boy, even though he's a troublemaker. She does see a lot of potential. So he asked the girl to go and give him his homework, and she's just like, but why? Like, I have no association. That's not my friend. But she's just like, because you're responsible, go give it to him. So she ends up going to give it to him, and then he kind of becomes, I don't want to say attached, but he's just like, this is a nice person. This person's being nice to me. I really like this person. Let's be best friends. And she's just like, no, friends are not my thing. I don't really do friends. I don't really do boys. I do school. And then he kind of like attaches onto her, and it's kind of really interesting because you kind of see kind of like the story that the character is painted as, and then who she really is. So he kind of attaches onto her like as like a friend, and as kind of like a guidance, and as someone that he can like feel comfortable with if he chooses to go back to school. And it kind of goes through kind of their like ups and downs, and it's like really, really interesting because like you see the girl who is like so super focused, so hyper focused on school, so hyper focused on being like her mother, and you see her how she kind of doesn't understand that you can also be very successful in school and also have these other things that the other kids want. You see her a little bit trying to kind of opening up her tunnel vision for school and seeing that like, oh, other people have made friends, other people have made connections, other people kind of like hang out on the weekends and study on the weekends, and other people are kind of like talking about significant others, all these things that she does not consider conducive for education, but at the same time is little by little kind of starting to see the value of that. You kind of see the friendships that grow out of it and the relationships that grow about it. It's really, really cute. I really, really love it. I hate the covers. I hate the covers. I hate the covers. Why is there a chain around this boy's neck? Why is there a chain around this boy's neck? Why is she holding it? Like, it just does not say anything about the actual books. I don't know why he's not chained to her. I don't know. It's weird. Ignore the covers. Ignore the covers. I like this one. It's really kind of wholesome and you really kind of see the characters really grow. So I absolutely love that about this one. So My Little Monster is another one I recommend. Okay, the fifth manga series I'm going to talk about is Waiting for Spring. Waiting for Spring is again a shoujo manga about a girl who is kind of just looking for friends. So she works at a cafe and she has a hard time making friends, and she's kind of like in this area where she just wants to kind of be liked. She wants a group of friends that will like her, that will be by her. And then she works at this cafe where she is kind of like in the beginning tricked by this group of 4 boys. These 4 boys, again, they're the hottest boys in school. They are on the basketball team. Everybody loves them, blah, blah, blah. They have a fan club. So one of them actually tricks her and pretends to confess to her, and he's actually just practicing to confess to another girl. But these 4 boys end up reoccurrently coming to this girl's cafe and they become friends. And it's really cool. It's a really cool kind of like found school family, found friend group. If it's just a friend group, is that a trope? It's a really cool kind of friend group. And this girl finds that by being friends with them, she also kind of goes into the world of like high school basketball and kind of their fan club, and she finds a little bit of friend and companionship there. I really just love the friendship. I think it's cool how it's like 1 girl and 4 guys, and like, yes, there is kind of like romantic chemistry between 2 of the characters, but the rest of them really actually just act as a friend group to this girl. And then she is met with a blast from her past. So she finds out that one of her old best friends in elementary school, who was kind of her only friend back then after like all the people at elementary school kind of like disowned her or just didn't want to be friends with her, she finds out that the girl that she thought was her best friend in elementary school actually is a boy. And he comes back and he is on the rival basketball team of her 4 kind of new friends in her current high school team. So that kind of creates like a semi love triangle, but it's not like in your face love triangle because I wouldn't rate it, but it's kind of like the semi kind of like her trying to understand kind of like what the implications of her best friend coming back as a boy kind of mean to her, and like this new friend group that she has. She also has to deal with the fact that like her being close friends with these 4 boys kind of make her alienates her from the rest of the girls of the school. So it's a lot. I think this one's really cute. It's very, very light. Not a lot happens, not a lot goes on. You're just really kind of like in the lives of these 5-6 characters, and it's actually really cute. I really like it. So it's a really cute, really light. I think if you want to get into kind of just like a really light manga, I think this one is a great one for that. The next manga that is on Kindle Unlimited, it's Say I Love You. So this one definitely is not one of my favorites. It similarly, it surrounds a girl who is kind of like not fond in the school. She's kind of known as kind of like a weirdo, kind of a loser. She kind of keeps to herself. She's very, very introverted, very shy. And then there is this heartthrob. Listen, the illustrations in this book don't make no sense, because the heartthrob of the school, I feel like in any other manga he'd be just a regular person, but I digress. But the heartthrob in this school finds himself kind of like attracted to this girl or kind of like intrigued by her, and he becomes really, really kind of like focused on like, you know, being friends with her and then having more with her. See, this one isn't my favorite because I feel like the main girl character, the main female character, is not developed enough. Like, there's not enough substance to her, and they kind of put like developing her character on the background once the main male character became more of a reoccurring person in her life, which kind of irked me. What I did like about this, it's kind of like the reverse. It's not the girl who is constantly pining over like kind of like this male heartthrob. It's more like him being very, very fascinated with her, and him being like kind of like being her silent protector. Like, people are talking smack about her constantly. People are like being mean to her, and he's just like, but what for? But what for? And that kind of makes him more invested in kind of protecting her, because he's just like, why is everyone so mad? Like, why are y'all so upset? So I like that. This one's definitely older high school, older shoujo. I don't even know if that's like a thing, if shoujo has like an age range, but it's definitely older shoujo, older high school. It deals with kind of like more realistic expectations in relationships, which I thought was really cool, especially for high school relationships, because some manga just be like 0 to 100 real quick, but this one is kind of more realistic, and I really enjoy that. And I really like the dynamic of kind of like the guy being kind of the more focused on the girl type dynamic. So if you're interested in that, I think Say I Love You is a good manga. Now, this manga is more on the kind of fantasy, more of the fantasy romance type, and it is Shinobi Life. Again, I'm going to put the author either here or here, and it is Shinobi Life. Now, listen, this manga, I had to double take. I had to double take, triple take, 3 times take when 3 times take is the same as triple take. Anyways, I had to look again, read again this manga because it's Inuyasha. If you read Inuyasha, Inuyasha forever in my heart is the best anime, my favorite manga, because Inuyasha Sesshomaru, Sesshomaru. Sesshomaru. That's it. That's it. Sesshomaru is no better character than Sesshomaru, except for Byakuya and Bleach, but we're not gonna go into that. Inuyasha, one of my favorite, anime's favorite mangas of life. Shinobi Life seems to be like, I don't know which one came first and I don't really care, but it's so similar that it's kind of weird. So basically Shinobi Life, it stars this girl. So this girl is living in the modern day Tokyo, and her dad, I still haven't gotten into it, and I think I'm on volume 4, but for some reason, something that her dad is into makes her a target for enemies. So people will kidnap her, people will kind of try to kill her, people will do all kinds of crazy things to her because she's the daughter of who her father is. So she always has bodyguards, reoccurring bodyguards. They come in and out, they come, they leave because the job gets too hard or they get killed. She always has bodyguards. So one day she is met with her new bodyguard, or who she believes to be her new bodyguard, and he's dressed in like traditional, real old school, real kind of like traditional old school Japanese ninja garb. And she's just like, why are you dressed like that? And he's just like, I must protect the princess. And she's just like, whatever, I'm a princess. So that's kind of how it starts off. And then if we find out later that this the kind of bodyguard that she has came from actually feudal times, feudal Japan, where he is a bodyguard for the actual princess. And what we find is that the princess in the feudal times and this girl have the exact same face. So they're actually descendants of one another. And that's how the ninja boy mistook the girl in the modern era for the princess. Does that make sense? It's kind of complicated, but if you watch Inuyasha, the ninja is Inuyasha, the girl in the modern era is Kagome, the old girl is Kikyo, and that's it. That's it. And then a Sesshomaru type character comes, but he ain't got nothing else Sesshomaru, so I'm not even gonna make that comparison. But yeah, that's how it starts. And then it's very, very interesting because the ninja boy, the new bodyguard, is convinced that this girl is the princess, but then they both end up traveling back to feudal times where he sees that like, oh, this girl is not the princess, and she kind of has to reveal to him that like, no, she's a descendant, and a lot of things ensue. One of his like ninja enemies comes to the modern world. They go back and forth. It is a lot, and it's really, really good. I'm really liking it so far. It's kind of slow, and it is an older manga, so the art style is kind of different. It's kind of more kind of like sketch drawn, which I actually do enjoy. It's kind of different from all of the other mangas I listed, so it's still really cool, and I really like it. So if you want more of a fantasy kind of romance friendship, fantasy Inuyasha-esque, I think Shinobi Life is really good. So the 8th book I want to talk about is A Sign of Attraction, and this is a new one that I've been reading. There's only 3 volumes out, but this one is a great manga. It stars someone who is deaf or hearing impaired, and she's signed kind of like throughout the manga. So she only speaks through sign language, through Japanese sign language, and through kind of either writing or typing and texting people. So that's the main character. So it kind of starts off this main girl who is deaf or hard of hearing. She's on the train and someone's asking her for directions, and she's just like, I don't understand you. So she wants to write to him, can you write it down because I can't hear. But the train is really packed, so she's not able to do that. So a boy who goes to her college actually comes from behind her and helps the man. And after he helps the man get directions, the boy who gave the man directions asks the girl like, why couldn't you help them? And she says, oh, I cannot speak and I cannot hear. That's how they meet, and it kind of ensues into this weird, it's not like an insta love or kind of like a romance kind of type of thing at all, or in the beginning it isn't, because he is just really intrigued because he hasn't met anyone who speaks solely either by writing or through Japanese sign language. So he really becomes intrigued about learning sign language and kind of learning how this girl communicates. I love this one. I loved the author's anecdotes about Japanese sign language because it really never occurred to me that like a lot of countries have their own sign language, like maybe in American-centric American Sign Language, ASL is all that I'm aware of, but the author puts in a lot about kind of like Japanese sign language and kind of how all the idioms are kind of represented in Japanese sign language, and it's just really, really interesting. So it kind of follows this deaf girl who's in college who is just kind of like teaching this boy sign language, and she's kind of really intrigued because he's the first person to not be kind of like sensationalize the fact that she's deaf and mute, just be extra very curious, but not in a negative way, and she really enjoys that. So their relationship, she kind of learns about him and how he travels and how he eventually like wants to teach language, and maybe one day he'll want to teach sign language, and she is just teaching him and just being very, very kind of enthralled in kind of like his life and then his fascination with learning sign language. So this one's very, very cute. I personally haven't read a lot of manga that features someone who is deaf, mute, or hard of hearing, so it's really, really great, and the author does, I think, a great job of kind of like educating the reader. Like for example, these are some of the idioms, these are some of the things that we say in Japanese, this is how I translated it into English, and this is how it's also translated or said here in Japanese sign language. One of my favorite parts of the manga. It is really, really great. I absolutely love this part of the manga. So A Sign of Attraction is definitely one I recommend from Kindle Unlimited. I feel like I've talked for days. So this is the end of the video. I hope you guys got some good recommendations. I hope if you didn't know what Kindle Unlimited was before and you're a manga reader, you could check it out. I'm pretty sure they offer a free trial. So I suggest, even if you don't want to pay for it, get the free trial and, like, you know, read your fill, read the first volume of every single manga on there. So I hope you got some good recommendations for some shoujo or some fantasy manga on Kindle Unlimited. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.